Hello and welcome everyone to this fantastic episode number 40. The topic today is Mamma Mia, I love Italy. My name is Italian, by the way. Anyway, Connections Forum offers interviews and talks about the most important areas in our life, such as handling intimate relations, nurture conscious awareness, and expressing yourself and how to continue your healing process. The purpose of Connections Forum is to inspire you, teach you, and also to teach you skills for learning different things to deal with the emotional upheavals that happens to anybody from time to time. And all episodes are recorded and posted on our website, Hangout on Connections. Hello, I'm Margherita Crystal Lotus. I'm an intuitive life and business mentor helping women overcoming stress and emotional issues and so that they can live a more happier life. And now over to you, Heidi.
Yeah, hello, I'm Heidi. As you already know, many of you, I'm a transformational coach and a voice coach and many other things. But today I'm here in my vest, do you say vest, of being in Italy for 30 years. So our show, Mamma Mia Italy, Mamma Mia Italy. I have internet back for about 20 minutes and I was really fearing not to be here with you on this show, Mamma Mia Italy. Anyway, it's not only that. We will talk about that later. We have a lot of wonderful guests who are connected with Italy intimately. One of that is my husband, Mark. He came to Italy.
I would like to point out that in the introduction to the show, I was referred to as her current husband, and I wondered if there was some change of status being planned. But anyway, I'm here, and I'm here not really because of Italy. I'm here because of Heidi, and so Italy came with the position, so to speak. Though I do know something about it, I visited it several times. And off we go.
Off we go. Shall we go over to Laura? Would you like to present yourself?
Sure. So I'm a Canadian. My parents are both Italian immigrants. My mother is originally from Rome. My dad is from Pescara, Abruzzo. So in '67, they came to Canada. I was born here in Montreal, Quebec. I still live here. There's a large Italian community here in Montreal. My mother tongue is Italian. I have a lot of uncles and aunts here who have also immigrated from Italy, and I also have a lot of relatives in Italy who I visit from time to time. Not as often as I'd like, but from time to time.
Thank you. So let's go over to the man in the panel. The other man, I must say.
Oh, yeah. Careful.
Hi, Nazim Beltran here, and just as Mark mentioned, I think I've under the same trap. I fell in love with an Italian from Milan who tried to live in Miami for a year and a half, too, and she said, no, this is not for me. So I was dragged over to Italy. And I have to say I was not dragged over screaming and shouting because I was very curious about how it would be to be in Italy. I've been here for 22 years, and I have to say that I adore the place. I love it.
Wonderful, thank you. And to you, Nutya.
So my situation is a little bit like Laura. I was born and raised in Montreal in Canada, but my parents came to Canada when they were in their 30s. So needless to say, we grew up in a very traditional Italian, Sicilian environment. To this day, we've kept all of our traditions. We speak Italian at home, so we've kept our heritage pretty much alive. And then later on, obviously, I mean, my own career, I work in corporate logistics during the day, but have a passion for writing, which I expressed through a blog that I created. And later on, I expressed it through a book as well that I was writing, which is focused and centered on Italy. So thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Wonderful. And we had also invited a real Italian who is still living in Italian, but he decided that he had birthday today and his friends had a fest for him, and so he decided to go. He didn't tell me that before, but so we are. But we have other guests. We have Mia Voss here.
Oh.
Oops, where is it? I
Where
will
is Mia?
bring it up. Where is it? I should be able to do comment tracker. It doesn't work today.
Yeah, I have her.
Will you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is here and she's is wishing us good morning and hi, very much appreciated that you're checking in on us, Mia.
Wonderful. Margherita, I think you have to go on with the comment tracker. Mine doesn't respond.
Yeah, I'll do it. And then we have another a comment from Elaine, and she and her husband is having the Italy map opened, ready to reference every places that we talk about today. Isn't that so cool? Great, Elaine.
Yeah, this is encouragement to who is listening and watching. Give your comments, what you have to say about Italy. And thank you, Elaine, for posting so many photos. Everybody should go and see the photos. I think we have about 20 photos.
Oh.
Nassim, you posted photos too. So it's quite an impression about Italy. So
And I think Christopher says that look at all the pluses and shares. You're certainly doing something right here. I like that.
I think what we do right is invite great guests here and talk about a wonderful country. I mean, with all the things, like I said, no internet, no other things, but it is a wonderful country. And I would kick off with that. What is the real beauty which is attracting us and you to Italy? And who wants to go first? Goes first.
I'll go first.
You? Okay.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I thought of it first as a topic that could go either direction. It could be either a plus or a minus about Italy, and I'm choosing to look at it as a plus. If you're in North America, you're probably familiar, I think it was Best Buy's ad campaign with the easy button. And in Italy, there is no easy button. You have to actually talk to people, create relationships, interact, with something other than just, trading money or credit cards for goods, or things won't happen. You have to create relationships, which for we spoiled Americans is a new experience sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you.
On that comment, I just wanted to say that it's true that as an outsider, when we look at Italy, a lot of times we just see the pluses. I mean, we see the beautiful history that Italy has. Because we have relatives overseas, every time we go there, it's a joyous occasion. So I just see the pluses. And in my line of business, Italy book tours, readers just love to read books that are set in Italy. There's a fascination with Italy and the contents in books about Italy. I wrote my own novel, and it was set in Italy because I fell in love when I was in Italy, when I was in Rome, when I was in Naples and Gaeta. These are places that, my grandmother is from Gaeta, so all places that have fascinated me. And I think there's a certain fascination with Europe, but specifically with Italy. I think because of the history and the people and the food, of course. Can't forget the food.
Don't forget the food.
No.
Thank you, Lotus.
That's a very good point. I mean, I do have to say that I've arrived in 1992. My wife brought me over to Milan, Italy, which is where I've been living for the last 22 years. Now, Milan in November, fog, gray, rain. I was coming from Miami Beach, South Beach, sunshine, fun, and all that. The impact was quite severe in the sense I said, okay, let's see. But obviously, with time and starting to explore all the things that are close by and getting to meet her friends, my wife's friends, I had a very big welcoming committee on the part of the friends of my wife, along with the family that embraced me with open arms. I do have to say that initially it was a little bit difficult in the sense that having been brought up in the States, I lived in Miami, New York. I did my university in Miami. We get accustomed to the system of America that you have everything is available 24/24, around the clock. But here in Italy, you have to fall a little bit into the frame mind of, okay, the market is open from 8:30 to 12, and that's it. In the afternoon, you can't do. So that part there, I have to confess, was a little bit hard to get accustomed to. But with time, you fall into all the things of how to figure out these schedulings and these things and the beautiful things that Italy has to offer. And I don't know, it's the way that we live here. I think it's very more family-oriented. Friends are really very close. People in Milan play hard, but they work hard, but they also play hard. So when you take your time off, it's just, vacation-wise, you have a lot more time that I used to have in the States. I can tell you that for sure. And so there's a lot of, as I go along with Mark, there's a lot of pluses. And also with Laura saying that when you come over here, it's like, it is a wonder, the places, the food, the people, and the attitude is kind of like, yeah, it is very relaxed. Especially when you go to the south of Italy, it becomes much more relaxed. And you take kind of like a break from the high pace of life that's very much down, 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 down all the time. And I really adore that. And it's something that I don't think I can sacrifice right now.
Yeah. So how is it for you, Nukia?
I share the same sentiments as Laura. Being an outsider from here and living in Montreal, there's a very large French community, a very large English community. And it's really nice when we hear them say that their dream trip, or that they're saving money so that they can go and visit all of Italy, is very beautiful. And so we do tend to focus more on the positives. I have family in Milan, Nazim, and Monza. I've got family in Venice. I've got family down in Sicily. So when I have traveled there, obviously we focus on the beautiful things. They take us to the landmarks and all the beautiful things. As far as the negatives, I mean, we do hear a little bit, the political instability and the things that we hear, but I guess we choose not to focus on that. We do focus on the great stuff, the food, the fashion, the people. When I do visit Italy, I think from a tourist perspective, there is a bit of a difference between North and Southern Italy. However, again, being a tourist, everyone is very social and very warm and very inviting, and so it is beautiful. I have nothing but beautiful things to say about all my visits and all my trips to Italy.
Yeah, and even more when you know the language, then the people are really open and welcome you. I mean, even if you don't know the language, they try their best to make
they do
to understand you and make themselves understood. This is okay. And what I'm noticing, what is a little bit of a difference, probably a real Italian family, when you come back home, they will spend the whole time with you. They will cook for you. They will bring you there, and will bring you there, and will bring you there, and will bring you there. I'm German. I'm in that sense not yet Italian. We have the brother of Mark here, and we are a little bit lacking this disponibility to just let everything go and bring the guests around. It's just a little bit. I haven't learned that so well, let's say, in Italy. I must say I'm quite isolated from Italians because I'm on the country, and Italians, there are some friends around, but normally now I speak with them in English, and Italian is going a little bit in the background. But I have lived 30 years here, so more or less I know. But Margherita, would you like to say your idea about Italy?
Well, I mean, I got married in Rome in 1988, I think, with my beloved second husband. We're still friends, even though we're not still married. But I remember we went down there, and we were so nervous. We forgot about arguing because all this bureaucracy and the Marco Polos and all of these 9 institutions we had to go visit. To get our papers to be able to get married in the senatorial palace. But if you go into Toronto into a the city hall and get married, it's like a boring room there, right? But in Italy, this room is covered with red velvet, gold ornaments, and guards in all of these. Like, it was the most fancy. It felt like I was visiting the King of Versailles, you know. And afterward, we went out to the plaza outside. I mean, it was a minor building, right? But that's not a minor building, because when we came out, you had a whole view of Rome all over, and it was so beautiful. And everybody outside who wasn't related to us or anything, they just clapped their hands. I mean, it was just very, very nice to be there, even though the bureaucracy drove us nuts.
Before
It's
we
still-
come to
Yeah. It still drives the Italian nuts.
bureaucracy, I would like to talk a little bit about art, and also what is Nukia's passion about fashion, which are all specialities, I would say, of Italy. And I wonder what you would like to share about art and whatever is connected.
I can share a little bit about my passion. Yes, I said I have a passion for fashion, and I think a lot of it is inspired. You know, I'm Italian, and I live in an area in Montreal where it's very fashion. You know, it's very renowned around the world as well for fashion as well. But a lot of the inspiration comes from my Italian background. I'm not sure if you wanted me to talk a little bit about the book, Heidi, or not, or it is Italian inspired. So I'm not sure if you wanted me to talk about that. Yeah. Okay. So a little over a year ago, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. And so for those who don't know, celiac disease is a severe gluten intolerance. And so in Italy, that is very common. But in North America, it's not as common. And so it takes people many, many years by the time they get diagnosed. So I was sick for 4 years by the time I got diagnosed. So for me, it was like a big bomb fell on me. You know, I'm Italian. How could I get rid of gluten? I love my pasta. I love my pizza. I love my bread. So it was a real problem for me, but I decided that I wasn't going to be a victim. And so I tried to work with it and tried to, you know, tweak some of the recipes to make sure that I can still have, you know, cannolis and stuff like that. And so it inspired me to write a book. So I put my passion of writing into writing a book. So the book is unique in as it talks, it's not only a guide for newly diagnosed celiacs, so it offers practical suggestions, what they need to do. It answers many of the questions that, for instance, I had when I was first diagnosed. And that's the first part of the book. And the second part of the book is recipes, Italian-style recipes. So while I do promote eating naturally gluten-free, there's obviously many recipes that I had to tweak in order to obviously adhere to my new dietary restrictions. So it's a book that's coming out. I'm at the final stages. We're aiming for November 15 for publication. So, and this is just a little bit. I'm not sure if you get to see it there. So very, very excited in a lot of my efforts. And it's actually called Going Against the Grain Italian Style. So I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. As soon as it comes out, I will share all details with all of you.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
I like the title.
It is. This is your rear arm, isn't it? Recipes and things?
We might have lost her for a second.
Oh, are you here?
I think we might have lost Lucia for a second. Let me see. If
I just got back. Sorry about that.
There you go. Good.
I was asking Nassim, you have written a book, or your wife?
No, my wife wrote a book. My wife wrote a book called Eating Heart, which is basically available on Blurb, and it's also available on the Apple Store, and we're taking it to the Kindle pretty soon. And it's recipes connected with stories, and it's a very, very nice book, but obviously I'm biased because my wife wrote it. But it's a really, really nice book. But it's kind of, the book was what brought us towards doing our current project, which is Casa Chiesi, which I don't know if I could talk about. It's basically a blog of Italian lifestyle from the point of view of a couple living in Italy. Us two, we explore different places, We invite everybody to check out the website, and if you're on Google Plus, to add the page profile and you know, on the newsletter or subscribe to the newsletter. Lots of fun in there. That's my plug for that. Let's go back to Italy.
Yeah, I want to encourage you all. Also, Laura, she has to do with books too. Put your information in the comment stream so people can pick it up.
And tell us a little bit, Laura, about what you're involved in, which because I know from watching your boss's show, but that would be very interesting for those who haven't seen it.
Basically, I'm a virtual book tour coordinator, so I help authors and publishers market their books. And a virtual book tour means that your book is touring virtually from blog to blog. So different bloggers will review the book, spotlight it, post a guest post from you on their blog, and so it gets a lot of exposure that way, virtually. It's become very popular among traditional publishers and indie publishers as well. So it's a great way to expose your book worldwide because it's done virtually. So that's what I do. So I'd love to help you promote your book, especially since it's connected to Italy.
Thank you. I'll be reaching out to you.
Yes, yes.
I have a comment from Kate Barbour, and she says the passion is coconut macaroons, gluten-free and originating in Italy. So this is the spot on topic. Do you have a special recipe there that you want to suggest to us?
I don't have coconut macaroons, although I can work on it. But I do have amaretti morbidi soft cookies. So there's a few others, a few other interesting recipes too, especially in the sweets section, because that's the part where gluten is the most, with your cookies and your cakes. So I do have some special recipes there. So I look forward to sharing them. But I will work on the coconut macaroons. Duly noted.
I have to make a note about, because I have a very close friend of mine who used to live in Italy, and he moved to London, and he just found out to be celiac too recently, and it was like he got hit by a train because it's very, very intense sort of thing, because as you say, you're accustomed to eating all sorts of things. He's a huge Italian food lover, and now he's having serious problems everywhere. When I went visit him the last time in London, we were like, every place you go, you have to ask every specific ingredient on everything we were going to have for lunch that day, and I was like, and I realized how serious this is. As you know, you never thought it would, and he all of a sudden came out of nowhere. Very strange.
Mm-hmm. And the Italians know how to take something and just make it better. I've tried various brands of gluten-free pastas, and of course, the best ones are made by the Italians. I have to say, I made my parents try it, and they didn't even know it was gluten-free pasta. Imagine, it was that good, and it tasted very similar to what we are accustomed to as pasta, macaroni and spaghetti. So I have to say, La Veneziana is one of them. I think Garofalo is another one. Such good brands, Italian brands, that are really good, gluten-free. The Italians know how to make good pasta.
Garofalo is a very nice brand. I like Garofalo quite a lot.
Yeah, very good.
So what would you suggest? I know that Mia Voss wants to come next year to Italy. What would you suggest her to do and to see in Italy? I mean, we are living here. We are sort of used to it. But you are with the eyes of a tourist. What would you recommend?
Was that for me or no?
For all of them.
For all of us, okay. If Mia is to come over to Italy, which I think we have planned for next year, obviously we'd have to see. I think Venice. I mean, I'm in love with Venice. I don't know what it is about Venice. I don't know if it's just all the water. It's similar somehow to Istanbul in the sense that you're on the waterfront. And then the fact that there's no cars, I mean, that alone is a great visit. Obviously, I would like to also take her off the beaten path and show her maybe Camogli, which is a place down in Liguria where I tend to go every week work-wise, but I also have my mother-in-law there, so that's another part of Italy that's quite interesting that not too many people know about. They know about Portofino, which is close by, but they don't know about about Camogli or Genoa, which is a very interesting city. Then obviously there's the lakes. Everybody goes nuts for the lakes. Right north of Milan, there's Lago Maggiore, which is very, very nice, and Stresa and all those towns like that. Then obviously Rome. No, the whole thing about and then Siena, Florence, and why not Umbria? Why not go? Why not go all the way down to Umbria? What do you think, Heidi?
Oh, I think Umbria is wonderful, and it's not yet really discovered.
It's off the beaten path. Yeah, it's off the beaten path, which is another thing I like. There's so much in Italy that is off the beaten path. It's not the typical places. In fact, in our blog and then website, Betty's trying. My wife Elizabeth is trying to say, I want apart from the typical thing, I want to show things off the beaten path that people can check out. So there's so much to see here. I mean. And I don't know how Mia's planning on coming over. I don't know how long she's going to be here, but I hope it's more than 10 days.
You need 10 days alone for Rome, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
I have a question there. I have a question there about the volcano there near Naples. I visited there at a time, and they explained to me when we were there that the volcano can come up any time, so that's why we have to live in the moment and do everything that we like to do right away instead of waiting. And of course, you can see that in how people drive in Italy. They just go for it, right? Mark, I think I interrupted you. Do you want to say something?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that being off the beaten path is where we are, with plenty of room for anybody who would like to stop by at Paradiso Integrale.
Yes.
Indeed. Mm-hmm.
And we went now a little bit nearby with his brother, and these places, there's no tourists, almost no tourists, and they're almost as nice, or sometimes nicer, than the tourist places, but you have all the quietness. There's, for instance, nearby Narni, which is really, I think, known as Narnia in the books. And there we saw some tourists, but I think from 10 to 20 every day. But it's a living center, it's amazing. And it's at least as nice as all the famous Tuscanian cities, all built in stone, in natural stone, and with the high towers of the families, and really, really, really nice, very narrow. How do you say, streets?
Yes.
Yeah, where almost no car can pass.
Lots of steps.
Lots of steps. I tried to do them with downward with a bicycle. I couldn't because it's just not possible. It's lovely, these cities, just to go around and meet nobody, no tourist. The only tourists are you, and just get in contact with Italians. This is nice. Margherita, I see you have a comment.
Yeah, we have from Elisabetta Chiesi. I hope I pronounced correctly. And she said that Italy is an endless job.
Yeah, that's my wife, by the way.
The author of the wonderful book, cooking book. Good, fine, Elisabetta, that you are here with us too.
I can offer some practical advice to Mia. The one thing I will say, Mia, if you're planning to visit Italy, is to make sure to take in, enough time so that you can really take it in. There's so much to see, and I know that when I was there, it was just so quick that I barely had a chance to really enjoy it all. So, sometimes it's even worth, dividing your trip into 2 or 3 trips. There's obviously beauty from north to south. The Amalfi Coast is just breathtaking. Tuscany is beautiful. Milan is beautiful. That's more city-like. Venice, absolutely. I adored it. And Sicily is just a whole other world. So just take it all in. Make sure that you just, book yourself a trip that's long enough to really take the time to absorb it and take it all in and really enjoy it.
So Mia's going to need at least a month.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. Or every year a month. That would be better.
There you go.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful things in Italy. Should we also talk about what we are struggling every day? Or shall we skip that?
That's so personal.
What would you say?
Oh, yeah.
You can say, for instance, when he can stay with me here only when we are married. So we married in America, and we didn't know that we had to go there to the ambassador to get a certification. And we had then, it took about 10 months until he got the permesso di soggiorno. And it wasn't.
It's very similar to my situation. It takes a good while to get the certificate to come from Miami over here. But once you get it, I mean, it's basically, I mean, I didn't have, the fact that you come from America, it's very strange. I have a little anecdote about that. I was very concerned about the fact that I didn't have the permesso di soggiorno, or what we call the work permit, or things to stay here. And I was very nervous about it, but when I went to the police station, the guy came and he goes, "What's your problem? You just grab this piece of paper and we don't." And he goes, "I go, yeah, but it's, I mean, you know, if I get stopped and stuff." And he says, "We have a specific order not to mess with Americans or Japanese." And I told the guy, "Yeah, but that's not fair. If you look well, no, it's just a specific order that we've had for years." And I said, "But that's kind of not fair, in the, you know, in the whole system." And he goes, "No, well, you know, so don't worry about it, not arriving later or whatever." And then I want to just mention one last thing that we didn't touch about, Italy, that's very important. I used to live in Miami, New York, which is a very crazy, kind of dangerous place. I think Italy, in the sense of guns, control of guns and issues of that nature, it's so much safer. You really go around at night, even in Milan, and you feel safe. There's nothing, this thing of who's going to come and rob you, or you know. So in that sense, I think Italy has the kudos for safety in general, you know, which is very important. Very important.
This is strange because the news is that Italy, everybody robs you, you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you hear in the news that how do you say this? They went by with a motorcycle and strapped away your purse. It was a fashion for a while. Mm-hmm. But you know, it happens. It happens everywhere. But to me, in 30 more years that I'm living here, I was never robbed. Mm-hmm. In my house, never anybody did anything. I close it now when I go away in this part where I'm living. In the other part, the tourist part where the flats are, is all open. And never, ever happened anything. It happens sometimes, but you know, I think this is a sort of neighbor struggle, because people find their cellar empty of olive oil or empty of a bacon or something like this. I think this is a little bit jokes which people do to one another, but it's not really a serious thing, at least not here. It can be different, maybe in Naples or Palermo.
I think Naples you have to be a little bit careful, but in general, you know, that happens in any big city. But to tell you the truth, here in 22 years, never had a problem with robbery, never had a problem with anything of any nature.
I'll give you my perspective as a tourist. When I visit Rome, my aunt, you know, be careful, don't wear jewelry. I mean, we'd tour Rome all hours of the day. Because it was so hot, we went in the evenings, and we'd come home around midnight. My husband and my children, we took the bus system, the metro system. We had no problems, but my aunt, who's lived in Rome all her life, she was fearful of us. So just be careful, call if you need anything. And then when I was in Naples, my cousin had his house, his windows barred, you know, and they talked about how it was easy for somebody to come in and steal their stuff. So that was a big thing in Naples. So I mean, I don't know, because it's a new place for us. We listen to what the locals have to tell us. Okay, if you tell me it's not safe to go there, I won't go there, just because they know. But of course, I mean, here in Montreal, if you go out downtown, it's safe. But then again, things happen, just like they do anywhere else. So I think, you know, prudence is required anywhere you go.
Yeah, I only have one quick piece of advice for anybody who's a tourist coming. When you go to the train stations or the subway stations, there's a lot of gypsy kids that come up to you, and they do a lot of trickery, and they kind of move around, and they steal them. That's one thing that you have to be very careful about. If you arrive and you see this happening to you, try to immediately just get the first police officer come by, because you know, this happens a lot. That's the only thing I think I've seen in Milan. But they're targeted specifically to people with suitcases that arrive, that they're moving around and they're kind of confused. That's all.
Yeah, and generally also, you know, when you have your bag here, keep it, you know, and your photo camera, don't put it somewhere. I mean, I think people see if you take care for that, or if you just, how wonderful, you know, and then you don't have to give them the possibility to rob you, let's say in this way. But don't be afraid. Don't be in hyper anxiousness. It's not.
Right.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and his wife, this is their first trip to Italy, and some of their misapprehensions. Well, the big one was, after seeing the country for a couple of days, he said, "I don't see many cops around." I mean, I guess he had a movie idea of what life in Italy was like, but he found it much more peaceful and civilized than he expected.
Well, to add on to that one, I think also at the end of Mark's comments is the police officers here are super not friendly. They don't have this attitude of like against the car. That they're very like, how can we help you? Or you know, very friendly. And that makes also a big difference because, you know, coming from Miami, our police officers tend to be, you know, a little bit stressed out because they have day-to-day situations that are quite stressful. So their attitudes were a little bit different. Here, it's totally different. Totally different.
Yeah.
And it's also the human factor. I mean, you can end up with a policeman who is strict and angry or whatever, but the chance is that you find somebody and you have done something wrong and he said, you know what, better next time you do it better. And then they let you go. So they are not like Germans. In Germany, that wouldn't happen. If you have done something wrong, you have done something wrong, and that's it, you know. But here is this comprehension and this humanity. And you know, even a bus driver, when you ask him if he can get you off in a certain corner so that you don't have at night, for instance, to do the long way, they do it. In Germany, never. You stop at the bus stop and that's it.
Right. I have a funny story about the difference, you know, between Italy and some other countries. Last year we were in Switzerland, and we had to rent a car. And my son, who's 10-year-old, he's a small 10-year-old. He was required to wear a seatbelt by law. He was so offended by that. He said, "I'm 10 years old, I have to wear a seatbelt." And then when we went to Rome, we just piled into the car. My uncle says, "Come on." We had no seatbelts. My son was sitting on my lap, and I said, "What about if the cops find us?" And he says, "Nah, they're not around. Just pile into the car." It was just such a, you know, the mentality about laws and restrictions is so different from one country to the other. I had to laugh. And I was hoping we weren't going to get into an accident with my son on my lap.
This is both sides. It can be very good, but when you know, you are the victim of an accident or something and you want to get you're right, then it might be a little bit difficult, you know. So it's every time both sides to see. This is nice. We have a relaxed life here, especially as foreigners. We are not under social control, but we don't have this complete connection. I mean, it might be different with you, Nassim, because you are married with an Italian. I was together with an Italian person 20 years ago, and this was also different. Then I'm part of the family. But as soon as I get out of this connection, I'm also out of the family. So, you know, this is this and this. You cannot have one without the other. So.
But it's always like that in life. You can't have it all.
It's true.
Heidi, Elaine asked, what part of Italy is Paradiso Integral? I know it's in Umbria, but how far outside of Rome is it?
We are in kilometer 73 from the Campidoglio on the Via Flaminia. So we are right from the city of Rome. We are distant 73 kilometers.
From the center.
Is
of the
it
city.
north?
North, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So are you very close to Orvieto?
No, Oviedo is 45 kilometers, close to Orte. I see Orte down.
Okay.
And Orte is what we see on this side. This is Lazio.
Mm-hmm.
Lazio. And we up here, the first hills, we are Umbria. So,
Orto is across the Tevere.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's a nice place.
Did you get? Let me ask you a question. Did you get any earthquake damage from that last earthquake in Umbria years ago?
I'm personally not.
Okay.
We had it, we felt it, but it was not. It's not.
Good, good, good.
So, who would like to add something about Italy?
I would like to know. I would like to know when our guest panelists are going to come over the next time to Italy. Real life
Love it.
meeting.
We'd love it.
Be it in Milan, be it in Umbria. I mean, that's an open invitation. It would be great.
I'll
And
be
we
calling
do
Laura.
real hangout in real life.
Mhm.
That's what Mea Voss has initiated it some weeks ago. You know that they met live. I think in 15 people.
Yes.
Over in Denver. Yeah, yeah.
And we are up to Nassim to organize that for Italy. Invite all the Americans.
You know you don't have to. You know you don't have to ask twice, Heidi.
Wonderful.
That would be great.
So when are you coming, Laura? You have relatives in Rome. This is really nearby.
I was
went to
there.
Rome often.
Yes.
For work. It's an hour and something.
If it was up to me, I would be on the next plane out to Rome any time of the year. But I was there not this past summer, but the summer previous. We had visited my sister in Switzerland. We went down to Venice, and then we spent time in Rome. It was a really wonderful trip. My children loved it, especially seeing Venice for the first time. I had been to Rome several times, but Venice was something new to us. It was fascinating. I mean, everything about it. It was so new, and it was such a different experience for the children, for them to see. Even when we would see the different landmarks that I've seen several times, but the children had never seen it. When we were in the car and we were rounding the corner just before we saw the Colosseum, I told my children, just watch carefully now. And the minute we saw it, they went, oh, it's fascinating. I mean, we don't have things like that here in Canada. I mean, we have skyscrapers. Okay, doesn't compare to the Colosseum, Or Fontana dei Trevi. When my son saw it, when we turned the corner from the little alley and he came upon it, his face just lit up. I love that. I love the culture with my children because that's part of their heritage, So I would love to come back. I mean, I'm sure Nunzia feels the same way, right? Nunzia, we'd be on the first plane out to go visit our relatives. But, we have, it gets expensive. That's the thing, Italy, because of the euro, is more expensive. So that's what keeps us. I think it's just the expense. A family of four, and we stay with relatives. There's no way we would stay in a hotel. My aunt would not hear of it. At one point, I had my aunt calling different. We split at one point. My husband and my children, and one of my kids in one place, and myself and my daughter in another place, and then we just met up because they live close in Rome. So, but there's no question that we'd have to go to a hotel. That's just, and my aunt cooks the meals for us. Unless we tell her, look, aunt, don't worry about it. We're eating out. But besides that, it is expensive. Yeah, to go to Europe.
Anyway, when you come, you are welcome.
Thank you, Heidi. I'll take you up on your offer.
She cooks, yes.
But not Italian style, not necessarily.
No, that
doesn't matter. We're from Montreal. We eat all kinds of cuisine. Montreal is known for that, so no problem.
I'll bring my recipe book.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we're talking.
There we go.
We have a comment from Elaine again. How is the winter weather there in Umbria?
It can be days very nice. We have had the 1st of January once when we had lunch outside in the sun, and it was wonderful. When there is no wind, it is quite acceptable. When there is wind, the north wind, tramontana, which is really cold, and it is normally over 0 centigrade Celsius, humidity is quite strong. So it's a little bit probably like Milan. In autumn, we have the same thing in winter. Now, so far, we still had summer. We still have 26, 27 centigrades. So it's lovely. Normally the spring begins early and the winter begins late, so this is fine. But I mean, as long as the houses have a heating, a certain way of heating. When I came to Italy, there was no heating nowhere, not even in the hotels and in the restaurants 30 years ago. And we all agreed that we have never have frozen so much in our lives as in Italy. It's now changing a little bit as we have ovens and, no, how do you say, furnaces and also central heating. Also, it is different here because energy is very, very expensive, so we have to take a little bit care. When I see the Americans with cheap gasoline and electricity doesn't cost and they leave everything on, you better don't do that because you pay a lot at the end. But, you know, it is nice, it can be not nice. It's not like, let's say, in Asia somewhere. It's not what you think. It's not as sunny as you would expect, let's say.
I have to still visit Sicily because they always tell me that there's sunshine all the time in Sicily. My wife has not taken me there yet, and I would love to check that out because they say it's a phenomenal place to go.
Yeah, what I say is here, Umbria and Lazio. I'm quite sure it's other 600-700 kilometers into the south that is completely different. I know in Puglia, there whole year they are growing vegetables which we couldn't grow here. You know, tomatoes, eggplants and stuff. Here they don't grow anymore. So wonderful. We haven't talked yet about fashion and art and whatever we could talk about, but I think we could. I would invite you all, if you can, and also the listeners, the 31st of December, to come to a party, online party, and we will go into the next year together, if you like to. The invitation is here. It will be in the different show, which I begin with Mark in November, and Margherita, you are so kindly invited too. So just to continue to talk a little bit about Italy and about what we can learn about it, because I think it's so much history, so much development, which I think for most of the people who are listening, they just don't know it. I see it with his brothers. They say, "Oh, this is 1,000 years old, and this is 400 years old, and this is, you know, this is." I think we could create something to show you the culture and the beauty of the culture, so that you can come back and see it with other eyes, not only as stones which are lying in the ground. You know, we have here nearby, only about 10 minutes with the car, we have a Roman excavation of an old city. It was the port of the olive oil, which was transported with the Tiber. We have the Tiber running down here to Rome, and there are many ruins. And you can imagine how people, you know, lived there when you see these things. And if you see them only as, okay, it's old stones.
Old stones.
So we could create some context to that.
Yeah. And I'll be over my cold by then too. Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the final minutes. I would like to invite you to cease to say some final words, takeaways, whatever. Bel canto. I see Kate saying bel canto. Yeah, I tried out to sing with this microphone with a full voice, but it sounds horrible. So we need to find another way, Kate, to be recorded with our singing. You know, I don't know if you know that. I came to Italy originally because I wanted to learn opera. I was a classical singer for concerts and so on, and I wanted to have this, this is opening, you know, of emotions, and that's why I came here to learn that, and I kept staying here. So.
So I get it all for me.
The singing, yeah.
You guys are so sweet. Heidi and Mark, you're so sweet. It's so great to hear that.
Oh.
But my takeaway of this is that when you're in Italy, you really get to touch the emotion, the sensitivity of people. They open up to who you are, not just that you're going to get something from anybody, but it's very welcoming. Every time I've been there, it's been like that. So I think we could learn. I mean, I'm Swedish from the beginning, right? And I came to Kingston here now in Canada, and I must say that Italy and Italians are very, very open. And I'm going to certainly see if I can take you up on that invitation to come and visit you, Heidi.
Wonderful. Great.
Good, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants next?
I could go next. This was my first hangout. It was really, really, really nice. It was really nice to see on the panel that we had people from within Italy and people from outside of Italy. So we got to share different perspectives. And again, Italy is very beautiful. I encourage anyone to visit it, starting with myself and bringing my family there. I have a 9-year-old. So definitely that's on our to-do list for the next short-term goals, to come visit and show them the various, our heritage, really. So it is beautiful. I really enjoyed this hangout.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
So we have a comment from Elaine again, and she asks about Puglia, the south, and vegetables growing all year. And so that's the area her and her husband has visions to relocating to. Can anyone say anything about that?
Relocating.
I know Puglia. It's a wonderful country. It's huge ancient olive trees, you know, like 2 meters large and high. That doesn't finish anymore. And it's a lovely country. I mean, it's far away from airports, from internationality, but it's wonderful if you want to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another comment from Elisabetta. Thank you. And what makes you feel so young at 54 is nothing if you compare it with the Colosseum. There is a lot of ancient monument and history and culture that the North American continent is not really aware of, right? When I first came to Kingston, I'm living in an old farmhouse. It's 114 years old, and every people think this is so archaic, old, and ancient, and whatever. But in Sweden, we have also ruins that are over 1,000 years old, you know. So, and of course, all the buildings in Italy, they were, you know, a culture at that time.
And I think for those of us like Nunzi and I that are outsiders in the sense that we're, you know, first-generation Canadian Italians, it's important for us to make sure our children know about our heritage and our culture. Whether they visit Italy or even by the traditions that we keep in our own home. That's why I love promoting it in my work. I love promoting books set in Italy. That's just something that it's my passion. I love. But it's important that, you know, even the language. I know that sometimes the children will lose the language because they don't speak it often enough. We speak English in the home, but it's important also to speak the language so they keep it. They can speak to their grandparents. It's important for them to be able to speak to their grandparents and listen to their stories of, you know, their life in Italy and what they did when they were children. I mean, the stories that my father has, how he, you know, he would make his own toys and, you know, how he drank milk straight from the goat's teats, you know, like stories that I think that are precious for children to hear about their grandparents. So I'm glad that, Heidi, you gave me an opportunity to be part of the Hangout and to talk about Italy. Being that it's part of my heritage and a country that I love.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think it's my turn maybe. So what I would like to do is seriously, and this is a serious offer, anybody who uses Google Plus and sees me online, they can ping me if you have any questions about Italy in general. If somebody seriously is looking at, you know, relocating here, there's a whole series of steps for expats that they need to know about. And I think also Heidi, you know, we both lived here for quite a long time. You know, just get in touch with us, and we can give you maybe some tidbits if you're serious about coming over to live here, or if you even, you know, want to come out and check out and visit. You know, what the highlights would be. I'd love to talk and chat about it, and I'm always on. I mean, this is my platform of preference at the moment. There's all other social medias that we deal with, but I think the magic of this instrument to be able to communicate and openly just talk to people and meet people and tell them, hey, you know, I'm coming to Canada. I'd like to know what, if I were to go to Montreal, where would I go? You know, and somebody can give you some advice. And same on this side of the pond. I think here in Italy, if anybody needs any information, we're available.
Thank you. Mike, do you want to say?
Well, mentioning Montreal a few times makes me recall that the impressions go in both directions, or the misimpressions go in both directions. It was about 6 years ago. I was shepherding some Italian friends around Montreal, which was a new city for me, and we got lost. And out of nowhere, a police car pulled up and said, "Hey, Wisconsin license plates, where are you headed?" You know, and they gave us extremely friendly directions to how to get to our hotel where we wanted to go. And my Italian friends in the back seats were just absolutely amazed at how friendly the police were in Montreal. So it works both ways.
We have preconceptions of so many things, and the only way to learn how things really are is go there, try it out.
Right. So true, Heidi. Yeah.
Very true.
So my takeaway is I was able to do this hangout. Miracles happen sometimes. Telephone, how do you say, telephone connections after 2 weeks finally work again, and internet after 6 or 7 hours works again. So what else do we want? And it supported us in this hangout. So all the preoccupation was in vain. I should know that, you know. It's no use to get preoccupied. Things go as they go. Stay in the moment and do what it is. I'm happy to have you had here, and everybody, and I hope to see you again. And remember, 31st of December.
Party! Party!
Bye-bye, everybody.
Ciao!
Bye. Ciao. Ciao. Ciao a tutti.